So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it to die? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right. Welcome to Kent with Bent 36, first Kentact. We've got up on our main viewer screen there, let me make him just a little bit bigger, Bent Hovind.
Hey everyone, how are you?
So, yep.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
It's good.
How are you? I'm tired, though.
Doing well, too. I'm actually not tired right now for the first time in a while.
I had a phone call today, and several times I tried to answer the other person on the other end, but I had fallen asleep and I was trying to answer like in a dream, and it didn't work. And I had to wake up and and then answer, actually, when I was awake. So, yeah, that's happening. But today, we are going to be starting a new... I say we're starting a new video because I had to download a new video, but it's just the same Q&A section from his seminar. It's just that it got broken into like 5 parts. So, this part is like an hour and 13 minutes long, so... yeah. Anyway, but let's go over the rules as they were, because we got rules. It's not like the street where you ain't got no rules.
Right.
We got rules here. These are the drinking rules. And by the way, we do not encourage you to play along with the drinking game. In fact, if you do so, we accept no responsibility for any liver damage, brain damage, anything else that may happen to you.
Don't do it.
Yeah. However, if you choose to, keeping in mind that this is not medical advice or legal advice, but just saying you can't sue. We take a drink whenever Kent gets something right on his own that's not simply a direct quotation from someone else. So we take a drink for that. It's always our least common drink occasion, but it does happen. We also drink whenever Kent says something that's just so stupid we kinda have to keep our sanity.
Yeah.
We also drink whenever whenever Kent tells a joke that just completely fails. We also have a variety of Toho Kaiju related drink triggers, which, here comes one, hopefully. Maybe not. Let me double check to see what one. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay, we got, so whenever Godzilla roars, or sometimes Mothra will come by. Also, if you remember, and you have, oh, there comes Vandalia 1998 with a $5 super chat to explain one of the rules. Godzilla, in case I pass out from my 18-mile bike ride today, I just wanted to say, greatest of the TNG movies, and we drink because someone super chatted a Godzilla. So there you go. Yeah, so I also liked First Contact. I don't think it's very Star Trek, but it's a fun action flick, and the plot doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you think about it too hard. The characters don't act like they did on the show. The costumes are a little bit wonky, but you know what? There's some great Borg action, and they go on the surface of the spaceship to go get the deflector dish, and someone says, no, you can't shoot, it might ignite the whole deflector dish, and then a few seconds later, Worf is firing his phaser cannon into there anyway, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, great movie. Lots of fun. Anyway.
Too, even though it's super flawed.
Oh yeah, it's a... Look, there's problems with every movie. That movie has a lot of them, but it's still fun. It's like Predator. Predator is a movie that, if you think about it too hard, doesn't really make any sense. And its structure is a whole mess, but who cares? It's a bunch of dudes going around getting picked off by an alien monster, and it looks cool. Oh, and you're drinking some kombucha, and
Kombucha, ginger flavored.
Okay.
And the chat's saying they're drinking. But
yeah. What do we got? Water as usual, water. Let's see. Gin and tonic from Monk Mayfair. Very nice choice. I actually almost got gin and tonic for today. I might actually get it for next time. Especially with cucumber. Put some cucumber in your gin and tonic. Oof. Makes it really good. Let's see. But I'm drinking some ginger ale and whiskey, but I will be switching to an iced tea with some whiskey when I finish this one, because I need caffeine, and so I just brewed up some tea. It's in the refrigerator right now, chilling out, and there you go. So, as far as I know, there is not currently a planned Goblin takeover of Kent with Bent. It can't be next week, but it might be the week after, if Bent is down for a Goblin takeover.
We'll have to talk about it, but...
Alright. Yeah, basically...
I don't know what that means.
It basically just means Chesh would be the host instead of me, and I would just go do something else.
Okay.
Because I have been doing this every Tuesday for what feels like a year. So, it's not that I don't enjoy it, but sometimes it would be nice to just have a nice quiet Tuesday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Where people still send me super chats.
Chill and watch some Kent event.
Yeah, I would actually like to watch the show. That would be fun for me. Because I can't rewatch these, because I had to live them.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's like when people are like, oh hey, did you see that aircraft carrier documentary? It's like, no, I didn't. It's like, why not? It's like, why not? It's like, okay, John, if they did like, you know, I don't know, working at McDonald's, the movie, and that's what you do for a job, would you watch it? No, you wouldn't. Anyway, let's start in with this Kent stuff here. Enough of this preamble, here we go.
What does Adam mean? The Bible says Adam was the first man. What does Adam mean?
Actually make Kent bigger.
Interesting question. I get that once in a while. The names in the Bible
now it
have
fills up
very
the
important
whole view
meanings.
screen.
God gave him those names for a very specific reason. Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan. Well, Adam means man. Seth means appointed. Enos means mortal. Canaan means sorrow. Mahalalel means the blessed God. Jared means shall come down. Enoch means preaching. Methuselah means his death shall bring. Lamech means the despairing. And Noah means rest. So if you put it all together, man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down, preaching that his death shall bring their despairing rest. Even the...
What?
Boy, when I rest, it's always with despair.
You know what? I don't even care. Sure, whatever. Let's just go with it. All of these characters who didn't actually exist were given names by the compiler of Genesis to create some kind of little Bible code in there. I don't actually even find that to be super far-fetched. Just sure. Why not? In order to make that interesting, you would actually have to prove that all of these people were real people who actually existed and who were given these names, except I guess Adam, by people just kind of randomly, and it just kind of worked out through God's providence, or that God actually came down and told these people to be named this. Like, sure.
names in the Bible are trying to get a message across. Pretty amazing. So, years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine in Mobile, Alabama. I spoke at a church over there, and I've known him for 20 years.
Doesn't Adam mean dirt? So, I don't honestly remember exactly what the connection is between the Hebrew word for dirt and the word for man, but if I remember correctly, Adam is basically a little bit of a pun, where it kind of works for both. But I could just be wrong on that. And honestly, like I said, I'm willing to just grant that whoever compiled Genesis just kind of came up with cool names that, if you put them in that sequence, makes a message. Sure, why not?
He said, Brother Hovind, let's go to McDonald's. I want to show you something. So we went to McDonald's, had lunch, and he tore 2 pieces of paper out, and he wrote on there, Mr. Flat and Mrs. Flat. I said, okay. He laid them on the table. He said, now you taught geometry, right? I said, yeah. He said, I want you to imagine that you are Mr. Flat, and you live in Flatland.
Pentallion 1998 for $2 says, wouldn't Noah mean reset, not rest? Lol. Yeah, that would make more sense.
2 dimensions. There is no third dimension. You have length and width, no height. I said, okay. He said, suppose I, as a 3-dimensional being, would like to reveal myself to you, but you live in Flatland. How can a 3-dimensional person express himself to a 2-dimensional person? Well, you're going to have a real problem here. He said, if we have Mr. Flat and Mrs. Flat, they're flat. All Mr. Flat sees of Mrs. Flat is a straight line. Now, he can walk around and figure out she's actually a rectangle. He can perceive the depth, but he...
Well, take a drink for Godzilla. I'm also going to read out a quick super chat, which we got from Seek Truth, Speak Truth, which, by the way, any of my mods, find Seek Truth, Speak Truth's channel, link it in the description. Seek Truth, Speak Truth is someone who I started watching. I can't say I watch everything as it comes out all right on the bat. You know, sometimes I, get a few videos in kind of a row because I've kind of neglected my my YouTube watching for a bit. But Seek Truth, Speak Truth is one of the exceptions to my rule that if your username uses the word truth, virtually everything you say is going to be wrong. Now, he wouldn't have been an exception until recently, because the main point of Seek Truth, Speak Truth's channel is actually talking about how it is people get fooled into believing things like the flat earth, because that was him until recently. We got ourselves and he asks for £5. I almost said dollars, but those are pounds, man. Dapper Dino, we need to do a collab/talk. I would absolutely enjoy that. I'll tell you what. Shoot me an email, and my email is the.dapper.dino.yt@gmail.com. It's also on my About page if you go to my YouTube channel. So, yes, shoot me an email. We should definitely set something up. I usually do, like, interviews and stuff like that on Saturdays. So if you wanted to just do like a hangout and chat, we could do that. And I usually do stuff on Saturdays at a time that works for my European viewers. So that might be a good deal for you. And if you want to do a video collab, we can talk about that too. I think that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, I am definitely open to working with you, man. You've got some nice content and way more subscribers than me. Yeah, this guy got a shout out from Simon Dan. That'll get you a lot of subscribers. Unfortunately, not all of them then end up actually being active viewers, but still. Some of them are, so that helps. But yeah, let's keep going with this explanation of Flatland, which, by the way, I want to point out that per the story, Mrs. Flat should be a triangle, because in the story, all the women were triangles. So there you go.
She evolved.
Yeah, man, apparently.
Can only see the width. You and I can see width and height. You do not see depth. You perceive depth. They call it depth perception. You could take a picture of what you're looking at.
Hey, you know what? He's actually broadly correct. Vision in a 3D world is actually a 2D cross-section of what you're seeing. Each of your eyes can only see in 2 dimensions, and you had to compare the 2-dimensional data to perceive 3-dimensional depth. He's actually correct. It's not the stereoscopic vision is not the only depth cue that you get. People with one eye actually can perceive depth to some extent because of things like, knowing how big things are and how big they are visually, and things like, using perspective lines to help determine distance. But their ability to judge depth does go down significantly.
And it would look exactly on flat paper the same as it does in real life. Okay? So he said, if I want to reveal myself to Mr. Flat or Mrs. Flat, I walk over and I stick my finger through the table. Mrs. Flat or Mr. Flat comes over and says, oh, I've seen Kent Hovind. He's a circle. All they see is a cross-section of my finger. Now then I stick 3 fingers through the circle over here, and Mrs. Flat says, oh, no, I've seen Kent Hovind. He's 3 circles. And they're going to split the church and start the church of the 1 circle and the church of the 3 circles, I'm sure. But neither one understands me. They've each only seen just a little bitty slice of the real me. So when God wanted to reveal himself in this little 3-dimensional world, he came down in the form of a man, Jesus Christ. There's an interesting verse in Ephesians chapter 3. It says, that we may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the length and depth and breadth and height, and to understand the love of Christ which passeth knowledge. Now wait a minute, there are 4 dimensions given there. Length, depth, breadth, and height. Is there more to God than we understand? I would say.
I'm going to take a drink. When it says depth, it means like downness. How far down does it go? And when it says height, it means how far up does it go? It is not indicating that there is a 4th dimension, Kent. Which one of them would it be?
Breadth was the 4th dimension.
Breadth? Why?
Because I think I remember watching this as a kid.
Really?
I think this is the one I remember.
Oh my goodness.
Height, length, width, and depth, and breadth, and all that. And
oh like, goodness. Yeah, well,
that's so smart. I'm totally bought into it.
No, what the depth refers to here is the difference between deep and high, right? Like, the ocean is deep, a mountain is high. Is it the same dimension? Basically, it's the up-down thing, right? But, yeah.
I've thought about that every once in a while for, like, literally the past 20 years. And I was like, oh, I never knew what that was supposed to have meant until you just explained it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Depth is just, it.
Because of this stinking video, Kent. Thanks, Kent.
Uh,
Thanks a lot.
Probably
Thanks
so.
for being here.
Probably a lot more to God than we understand. And I doubt anybody can say, I understand everything about God. If the infinite God would fit in my little 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping. That's for sure.
you know what? That's fair. I'll take that as a win for Kent. If you could fit God in your brain, he probably wouldn't be worth worshiping. Now, the next question is God in your brain? I'm not going to answer that question, but I will actually say that I would say a lot of people who don't believe in God would say that that's one of the reasons they don't worship him, is because he seemed to only exist in their brain. So,
Right? What about the races? Where do they come from? Well, you don't have to look around the world very long before you realize there are different colored people out there. I remember as my first time I saw a real black person. I don't mean brown, I mean black. Came from Africa.
Yikes.
Black as my coat. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. This guy was visiting from Ethiopia. And I was probably 7 years old. And I couldn't believe it. Not only was he black, his wife was black, and they had a baby that was black. I mean, black, black. I'd seen lots of brown people. I'd never seen a black one. It was like, wow. Where did the races come from?
goodness.
Actually, I don't think we should use the word
My
races.
goodness.
There aren't
I will admit though, when I've been to places like East Asia, I am a bit of a curiosity. People are like, "Oh, hey," and they stare at me. And I remember the first time I was in South Korea, I was followed around a few times by groups of school children because they'd basically just never seen a white guy before.
I'd never seen a white dinosaur before.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, it is in fact the case that when you see someone who looks like nothing you've ever seen, you do tend to get an interesting reaction. So, I'll at least say that. Maybe this is just him being innocent, having never seen... Because I do remember, I did once... remember the first time I saw someone who was extremely dark. And it was surprising. I didn't, like, go on and on about it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's dark. Moving along.
different races. There are simply different skin colors. For instance, would you call these different races of cows? No, okay. They all look the same in the meat locker, and they all taste the same on the hamburger, okay?
There are breeds of cattle, though, Kent.
Just skin color, all right? But there are 4 different theories of where the different skin colors come from. And I'll probably use the word races by habit, but I don't mean skin colors, okay? The first theory is Adam and Eve were medium brown and produced all the varieties in their own children. It's simply a melanin count in the skin. There's a black couple that had 3 albino children. They didn't have much melanin in their skin, okay?
Albinism is not a ethnic category, though. Like, there's not, like, a group of albinos living in some country. Like, that's just kind of stupid. You're mixing up a pathology with normal, non-pathological variation in skin tone.
The second theory says the Lord put a mark upon Cain. And there are those who argue that Cain became black because of killing Abel. I think that's a stupid theory. But it's amazing how many folks believe that.
Kent. That's a stupid thing.
If the Father has since teach that Cain was black, and black skin is a curse.
Yep, yeah, that's stupid. I'll agree with Kent. Kent is right. That is a stupid theory. Oh, so you aren't a Ceratosaurus, or are you a white Ceratosaurus? No comment, this world and beyond. No comment.
The curse of Cain. They said it's the Lord's doing. But the Mormons teach that up in heaven, God the Father has thousands of wives, and he has sex with all these wives, and they produce spirit babies. Those spirit babies, if they're valiant, they come down to earth and get a white-skinned body. If they're not valiant, they come down and get a black-skinned body.
He's like almost right. All right, I'm going to explain what the actual more accurate explanation. Keeping in mind that, I'm not Mormon, so, ask some Mormon or something to make sure you get this right. But all of the spirit babies have already been produced, basically. And the idea was that during the rebellion in which Satan fell, the demons that he, quote-unquote, demons that he brings with him are actually some of the spirit children. And the members of the group of the other, spirit children who either didn't take a side or who fought on God's side but not very hard, they get varying degrees of darker skin as a result of having not fought on this. So it's not like you get some kind of test of valiancy after being just born now over on Kolob or whatever. So, Vandali1998 for $2 says, I've heard Cain was the father of Neanderthals before. I've not heard that one. That's... Hey, it makes more sense of the Grendel story than Kent Hovind's Grendel is a Dragon does. So, I mean, there's that. Oh, man. Oh, Seek Truth, Speak Truth, you forgot to like this video. Well, it looks like a whole bunch of other people have, too. Almost 20 of them.
Oh.
Let's get some likes in here, guys.
Or at least dislikes if you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, you feel free to dislike. But a like is basically like the movie theater ticket price. Come on. You're sitting here putting on a show for you. You gotta hit like. Here we go. Get some more Kent in.
So they look at black people and think, well, you were just inferior in your first life. What a dumb way to live. But that's what the Mormons teach, okay? They said, Cain, Ham, the whole Negro race have been cursed with black skin, the mark of Cain. This guy said, if there's one drop of Negro blood in my children, as I read to you, they receive the curse. Shall I tell you the law of God in regard to the African race? If the white man who belongs to the chosen...
What's that? Sorry.
So this is enough quotes, Kent.
Yeah. Although he's actually quoting from things that actually are reasonable sources to be quoting on this. Like Brigham Young Journal of Discourses. Yeah, no, that was what you should be quoting from if you want to be talking about Mormon. He's not quoting like, my friend Bubba wrote this book. Yeah, these are actually good sources for this. Yeah. Like if I wanted to come up with sources for the question of the historical attitudes of the LDS movement to, say, racial issues, these are the exact same sources I would go to.
The seed mixes his blood with the seed of Cain. The penalty is death on the spot. And the good book, Secret History of the Mormon Church, covers a lot of the people who've been killed
and
in Mormonism for violating the Mormon laws.
Good source.
The third theory says God put a curse on Canaan.
Oh, were we quiet?
Don't confuse Canaan with Cain. Canaan was Noah's grandson. If you read Genesis...
I can turn you up a bit. Sorry about that. I'm not sure how much louder I can make it. On my end, I actually see me going into like the -5, actually all the way up to like -2.5 or so on decibels.
I think we're pretty good.
You're a little bit on the quiet side.
I could yell more.
You want to try switching to a third mic? That might work. Ads are 20 times louder, huh? Oh.
Testing.
Well, the quality is much lower, but you're much louder.
Oh, crap. Let's try another one. Alright, how about this one?
Oh, that's... Oh, I guess we can vote in the the chat.
This is my webcam microphone.
Now I am on my Oculus Rift S microphone. Now I'm on my actual microphone.
Is it possible you could get up closer to yourself?
I think I could handle that.
Alright.
The whole time.
Alright, that might work, yeah. Alright, well, sorry, that's about as good as we're gonna get here. Sorry if the ads are louder. It's really hard to do live audio stuff. I've got all of us turned up all the way. I've actually got Bent here on 200% volume in the Discord call, so...
I'll try this. This is as close as I can get where I can still see the screen.
Okay. Oh,
so, yeah.
There's a few votes for the Oculus, but we'll see what happens. If people want the Oculus, we can do that.
This is chapter 9. It says, Noah woke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done and said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servant shall he be. Twice, the Bible says Canaan shall be a servant. And there are those who argue black people are supposed to be servants because God put a curse on Canaan. Okay, now I agree with the God put a curse on Canaan, but where do you get black people are supposed to be servants out of that? Aren't you assuming that Canaan was black and this curse applies to him? I don't believe that one either. The fourth theory, and I think the only logical theory in all of this, is the Tower of Babel is what caused it. God told them, hey, spread out. They said, no, we're staying.
Sorry, I have to drink because I'm just like, no, that's not the most logical.
That's the most logical.
Right here, and they built a big tower, and God got angry and confused their languages. But not only did he divide the languages, he divided their tongues, their families, and their nations. Genesis chapter 10. Shem is writing this. Shem's the guy who kept the records of all the family records, you know. Chapter 10. It's interesting. Small inbreeding groups will cause unusual traits to become very pronounced. For instance, for years, the Habsburgs had to marry royalty. That's just the rule. Well, sometimes the only royalty available to marry was your niece or your aunt or your sister. So they would marry royalty, and pretty soon they started looking real strange. You could tell, although he's a Habsburg. Got real long nose, stupid-looking chin, and he's got to be a Habsburg, okay? They look dumb. This is a picture of the feet of a guy. They're called the ostrich people in Africa. There's a tribe of folks in Zimbabwe. They are required to marry within the tribe. But there's only like 200 of them. So they are always marrying sisters or nieces or cousins. Always. The ultimate redneck. They only got 2 toes. Their teeth fall out in the middle of the night while they're sleeping.
What? Okay, sure, whatever. I'll just take it. And yeah, you know what? I agree with you, Kent. Inbreeding is bad. So I took a drink for inbreeding is bad. But here's the problem, Kent. It's not like the various racial group or, well, skin tone groups are actually particularly inbred. They're not. There are some areas in the world where inbreeding is higher, like Turkey and some parts of the Middle East, where first cousin marriages are the preferred form of marriage, and has been that way for over 1,000 years. So yeah, you do get some inbreeding problems there, but like, goodness. And also, you could just go with the theory that since you accept microevolution, Kent, we could just say that, oh, when Noah got off the ark, there was a variety of skin colors in his daughters, and now we just have adaptation to varying amounts of UV radiation, so that people with light skin are in places where there's less UV radiation available for making vitamin D. Like, you could go the slightly smart route, but no, you're just going to go the people have different skin tones because of inbreeding route, even though there's no evidence of inbreeding in most of these populations. Sure.
That's a result of incredible inbreeding. Unusual traits can become permanent with inbreeding, and that might have happened with the Tower of Babel. Genesis 10 says, the nations were divided after the flood. Not only the languages, the nations were divided. There's a great book on this topic by Bill Cooper. I got one here, it's in the library. After the Flood, Bill Cooper, incredible book if you want to read that, about the dispersion of the sons of Noah. What happened? Well, Japheth, one of the 3 sons, had about 14 kids and grandkids. It's a little difficult to count, believe it or not. You read Genesis 10 and see if you can count it. Try to do better than that. Okay, it's hard to tell who goes with who, but by my count, 14 kids and grandkids for Japheth. Ham had 31 kids and grandkids. One of them was Canaan. Now, if the curse was on Canaan, we got a problem, because the Bible tells us Egypt is the land of Ham. Psalm 105, Psalm 106, Egypt is the land of Ham.
That sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I want some ham. I can't remember the last time I had ham. Although, I have Spam sometimes.
Been a while for me.
Spam is nice. You can crisp it up, put on your eggs. There you go, Spam and eggs. It's like cheap bacon, except it's not as good as bacon, but it's way cheaper.
Spam musabi, is that it?
Oh, musubi. Spam musubi is delicious. It's basically just spam sushi. Sushi rice, some nori, put some spam on top, some crisp.
When you described it to me, it sounded terrible, and then when I got it, I thought, "Holy crap, this is really good."
I know. Look, people like to poo-poo on spam. No, spam is, you got to know what to do with it, but spam is perfectly fine.
The children of Ham migrated to Egypt. Africa was actually settled by the descendants of Ham. Black people apparently came from Ham. Japheth is the father of the Europeans, and Shem is the father of the Orientals, which includes Jesus Christ. They're considered actually Oriental, the Middle East, okay? Shem had 29 kids and grandkids. So by my count, and my count only, I would say there are about 75 original nations and languages at the Tower of Babel, just adding up those 3 sons and their descendants. So I suspect when God confused the languages, there were about 75 of them.
All right. Now find the 75 language families, Kent, and show how they all actually have speaking populations spreading out from the Middle East, and you'll have managed to actually make a working theory about the development of languages. Too bad that's not what we actually see.
Just purely based on this graph here, this chart here. Most folks who study English will tell you that English, German, and Danish have a common root language. There are hundreds and hundreds of words that are identical. Here's Beowulf poem in 518 AD. This is English, actually.
Hey, we've looked at that before. Because Kent likes to talk about Beowulf, and I like to be able to read Old English.
From 1500 years ago. Today's English is nothing like ancient English, and ancient English was very Germanic, okay? Spanish, Italian, French, and Latin had a common root language. You can compare the words. People that speak Spanish can go to Italy and get along pretty good. People that speak Ukrainian can listen to Russian and get along pretty good. A lot of languages have common roots. There's a good book about the Chinese language, The Discovery of Genesis, it's called. If you want to get one of these, it's, I forget, $10, $9. Showing how the original Chinese characters, not the ones they use today, but the original ancient Chinese pictograms were actually telling the creation story.
All right. I'm just going to say, I don't know enough about Chinese to know that this is false. However, I have seen people who do know enough about Chinese debunk this, and apparently the word for 8 is actually not in there, and that is one of the big parts of this. Now, granted, don't take my word for it, because I really don't have any significant knowledge of Chinese. I have a few words in Mandarin, and, like, that's it. And by a few words, I mean, like, three words in Mandarin. Like, it's about
that many.
Right, it's about as low as that you can possibly have. Like, it's not one, I get it, but like I've clearly never studied Chinese. So go look into that on your own if you care about that particular claim, but no, the word for it doesn't tell the story of Noah.
For instance, the symbol for boat is 8 mouths in a vessel. Noah's Ark had 8 people on it. The Chinese symbol for garden is dust plus breath plus 2 people in an enclosure. There's also more in...
Yeah, but your breath and your mouth are the same, so why isn't it dust plus mouth and then 2 people, which I'm not actually very confident that's 2 people. Yeah. Also, that dust, I think it might actually just be tree. So, yeah, I'm very skeptical.
In this book, Search for the Truth by Bruce Malone. A lot of his articles in here are really good and are on our website. You can read some of Bruce's articles. But this is also a good book you'd want to get on the topic. There's been a sequel, God's Promise to the Chinese, written about God's promise in the Chinese language. The Chinese symbol for righteous is a person under a lamb. The only way to be righteous is to be under the lamb.
You know, I wonder if Kent knows about the Christian influences in, you know, like the 5th, 6th, and 7th century in China, where there were actually Nestorian Christians who rose to high position in various imperial Chinese courts.
You really wonder that?
No, I'm sure he doesn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
He had no idea.
It turns out that you don't actually have to go all the way back to the Tower of Babel to find ways that Christianity could have influenced China. Because we know Christianity influenced China when Nestorians got there and established a fairly significant stronghold and became, like I said, reasonably high-ranking because of their emphasis on things like literacy and learning. And then they were declared a foreign influence and kind of all killed. But, you know...
Hey, make sure you put Kent back on.
Oh, yeah.
People like me, but they want to hear...
Okay.
When they hear Kent, they want to watch.
See Kent? Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I forget sometimes. I'm bad at this.
By the way, we have a lot of that in English. And that would make a good sermon someday, too. We'll get another time on that. Today, there are about 1,200 recognized languages, plus thousands and thousands of dialects. They probably all broke up from the original 75 languages, just like, you know, Australian, Irish, and Georgian, people from Georgia or Alabama. Believe it or not, they all speak English. But it's a different dialect of English, okay?
Okay, so here's one of the things that I actually... it's been in the back of my mind for like a year now. But to make a video going into just how similar, looking at the basically phylogeny of languages and how we know that, say, English and German and Dutch and Frisian and Faroese and, you know, all these various languages are actually related to each other, and how we can draw a family tree that doesn't just say Germanic. We can get into, like, you know, Nordic or West Germanic or East Germanic, and do the same thing with other groups. Like, we can actually then connect all the Germanic languages to the Hellenic languages and the Italic languages, like Latin and what is it? I can't remember the name of that. Some of the other Italic languages, but there were a bunch of non-Latin languages spoken in the early Republican era that were all also Italic languages. And, the Romance languages all connect back to Latin, which then itself connects back to all these Italic languages, and then that connects back to the Hellenic languages, and then and the Germanic languages, and the Cyrillic languages, not Cyrillic, sorry, Slavic languages all connect back to West Indo-European, and then languages that are spoken in like India as well as Farsi all connect into the Eastern Indo-European languages that all connect back to Proto-Indo-European. Yeah, that's actually a very similar process to the way evolution works in terms of how do you actually draw out these trees. And Kent here seems to accept phylogeny for languages. But it's the same kinds of techniques. We see things like inherited mutation carried forward. So one of the big distinguishing features in, say, the quote-unquote Western Indo-European from the quote-unquote Eastern Indo-European is in a lot of Western Indo-European languages, the word for 100 comes out with a particular sound, and it comes out with the opposite sound in the Eastern Indo-European languages. And then that sound change carries through all the daughter languages. And every time there's a split, one side of the split has new changes that then carry forward into the daughter languages. We can actually tell about when certain sound changes happened in the history of these languages based on which modern languages show evidence of them. The same thing where you can do things like trace out the origin of various genetic elements like mutations or ERVs. That's why we know that there are great ape unique ERVs that aren't in other monkeys. But there are also chimp-human unique ERVs. But there are also unique chimpanzee ERVs and unique human ERVs that humans would share, say, between Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis, but that members of genus Pan, the chimpanzees and bonobos, don't share. You use the same techniques, and you can recover the ancestry of languages, which Kent is okay with. But you do that with biology. No.
No, then it's just lines on paper.
Yeah. Even though all those charts for languages would also be lines on paper, but Kent Hovind is okay with it.
Yeah, but that represents something that Kent believes in. That's the difference.
The thing is, though, when I leave you up, we get the doggo.
Ow, my neck hurts.
Stop hurting your neck.
And if it weren't for rapid communication across the world today, they would be totally indecipherable in a few generations. When we were in Australia, I was at the restaurant, and I said to the waitress, I said, "Ma'am, would you get me a napkin?" The preacher said, don't say that. I said, "Why?" He said, "Don't ask for a napkin over here. That's a diaper." I said, "What do I want?" He said, "You want a serviette." I said, "Oh, okay. Ma'am, can I have a serviette?" I thought I spoke English, They don't speak English over there. They speak Australian, all right? But the Bible says pretty clearly in Acts 17, God hath made of one...
Actually, we had a good question from This World and Beyond. Why don't ERVs still infect us if they are in our cells? A good portion of our DNA is ERVs, so why doesn't it infect us? In fact, actually, ERVs can, in rare circumstances, be sort of reactivated and cause diseases. But usually what has happened is the cell has a number of mechanisms, including various histone proteins and targeted methylation, to try and prevent ERVs from expressing. Also, many ERVs are actually sort of broken, so they're the various promoters and start codons and whatnot that would normally activate them and turn them into something that's going to produce additional viral particles have been broken as a result of mutation. So, but it is in fact possible, either by design or by happen chance, for an ERV in some cases to reactivate. If it's a recent ERV, that can happen. I believe, and I don't have a source on this, so don't take it for too much, but I believe there have actually been some experiments in reactivating ERVs to become disease-causing viruses again. And at least with fairly recent and intact ERVs, it's actually not very hard to do that experimentally. So, there you go. Atheist Junior says, I thought Dapper was done with this video. Well, I was done with part D. This is part E, which is the final part. This one just keeps on. I found them all put together in one single video, and it was like a 5.5 hour video. And we're what, 11.5 minutes into this, and it's already taken us 40 minutes. So we go at a pretty slow pace.
Yeah.
Blood, all nations of men to dwell on the earth. The Bible says in Malachi, have we not all one Father? There's no reason to be a racist because of your skin color. We cover more on that on video 5. They did a search for Adam and Eve, trying to find, do we have a common ancestor? Using mitochondrial DNA changes, they found out we have a common ancestor only 200,000 years ago. One woman created this whole race, whole world.
Okay, time for another Kent is being stupid drink. Okay, so Mitochondrial Eve is the most recent common ancestor for all humans. Well, except, no, she's not necessarily. She's the most common mitochondrial ancestor. So, any given part of the genome will have a most common recent ancestor for all of humanity, right? So, like, let's say you want to look at, say, it's not entirely correct, but it's broadly the case that there's usually there's a main gene involved in hair color, right? That gene has the most common recent ancestor. I don't know how long ago it is. It's probably a lot longer ago than it was for Mitochondrial Eve, just because of genetic recombination. But that's a thing that it has, right? So, if Mitochondrial Eve is just the most recent common ancestor for all the mitochondrial DNA, which means that everyone alive today is the product of a daughter of a daughter of a daughter of a daughter, all the way back to Mitochondrial Eve. And if you're male, then you can trace your way back to Mitochondrial Eve by just looking at your mom and always going to her mother, her mother, her mother, her mother, so on down the line. So, but Mitochondrial Eve does not need to be the first woman, and I'll give you an example. So right now, humans have 3 main haplogroups for their mitochondrial DNA, which means they have 3 broad categories they can fall into. However, M and N, if I'm remembering correctly, and it doesn't matter if I am or not because the point still stands, 2 of them are more closely related to each other than either one is to the third. So those 2 have a most recent common ancestor, right? But that woman who was the most recent common ancestor between M and N would have been living thousands of years after the actual Mitochondrial Eve for the whole species, right? And so there would have been a lot of other women around there. It's just that she happened to be the one. Other lines just died out, except for the L group. Okay, but what if the L group were to die out? What if we got some kind of radical, new, crazy genocide people? And they're like, we, for some irrational reason, hate the L haplogroup mitochondria. And if you are a female with L-type mitochondria, because it doesn't matter if you're a male, because you can't pass it on, we're gonna make sure that you're sterilized. You can't pass it on. Okay, well, now there would be a new Mitochondrial Eve after a few generations where the L haplogroup fails to be passed on. And guess what? We already know that person would have had contemporary ancestors. You could do another idea where, like, let's say that you were gonna go found a space colony, and for whatever reason, if you trace back all the female colonists to, say, I don't know, one woman living in the 20th century, that's who they got their mitochondria for. We know that in the 20th century, there were a lot of females alive, reproducing just fine. But when they get to their new colony, that woman, who was one of billions, will be the Mitochondrial Eve for the colony. And if, say, the rest of the humanity on Earth gets wiped out, she'll be Mitochondrial Eve for all of humanity. So no, this does not mean that Mitochondrial Eve is the most recent common, even female ancestor. There's no reason to think that she was the only woman alive when she lived. And it's a title that can change, because as mitochondrial lines die out, the actual identity of Mitochondrial Eve will move forward in time. And so what that actually means is it's probably it usually takes about 200,000 years from now to reach a mitochondrial ancestor in humanity. But say in 100,000 years from now, there will probably be a new Mitochondrial Eve. And it will probably be someone who was alive 1,000 years ago, when there were lots of people. Now, as the human population increases and increases, it becomes less and less likely that we'll get a new Mitochondrial Eve, because mitochondrial haplogroups have a lower chance of going completely extinct. But it's still possible. And that is my long-winded explanation of why Kent Hovind is an idiot in this instance.
And then did more studies on this mitochondrial DNA and said, wow, no, we all have a common ancestor only 6,000 years ago.
No, only Nathaniel Jeanson did that, and he did that by using so I'm going to drink again because it's stupid. So Nathaniel Jeanson did not use the long-term fixation rate, which is what you need to use. So the problem that we have here is if we measure, say, the mutations between you and one of your parents, right? So let's say we measure, we take Bent, and we take his mitochondrial DNA, and we compare it to his mom. You're going to get a significant number of mutations, right? But if you were to compare it to, say, your grandmother, your maternal grandmother, you would actually get a lower mutation rate. And that's because not every mutation is going to end up getting passed on. Only some of them are. In fact, you're going to have somatic mutations that we have a hard time detecting that aren't going to make it. And I guess we should go with your sister, right? So she's not going to be able to pass on all the somatic mutations that happen in her mitochondria. Only the stem line mutations are going to be passed on. Plus, as we go farther and farther back in time, you're going to see even fewer mutations because deleterious mutations are going to be selected out. So it's not that the mutation rate is going down, but the amount of time that it takes for a new mutation to fix in a population is a lot longer than the mutation rate on its own would suggest. So if you take the higher but erroneous mutation rate rather than, say, the fixation rate, you're going to come up with a much, and in fact, exponentially higher rate of change. And then you can get Mitochondrial Eve down to 6,000 years ago. The 200,000 years is in fact the one supported by the data when you actually properly account for the fact that the mutation rate is not the fixation rate. And that's something that we can demonstrate because we know when certain areas of the world were colonized by humans. And it's recent enough that we can actually find their mainland relatives. So for instance, Madagascar was only colonized about 5,000 years ago. And we know where it was colonized from. It was colonized from the area around Indonesia and Malaysia, surprisingly enough, not from Africa. So we can compare their mitochondrial DNA to the mitochondrial DNA of people who are now their relatives 6,000 years removed, or 5,000 years removed, or whatever, in places like Indonesia, Malaysia, and like New Guinea and things like that, right? And we find that, yeah, we can get a fixation rate for mitochondrial DNA, and it puts Mitochondrial Eve at about 200,000 years ago. So unless Kent wants to disagree that we actually know when places like the Canary Islands or Madagascar were settled, which is not, we know for certain. The Canary Islands were actually only settled like a couple thousand years ago. It's very recent. So yeah, we can actually check. We know this for a fact. It is science.
And they said, no, that can't be right. Let's keep studying. Well, yeah, actually, we did have a common mother 6,000 years ago, and I even know her husband's name. Okay, Adam, and a couple other kids' names. This article says, we all related to a man who lived in Asia, 1400 BC. Science correspondent in Weekly Telegraph in UK. Everyone in the world is descended from a single person who lived around 3,500 years ago, according to a new study. Scientists worked out the most recent common ancestor of all 6 billion people alive today probably dwelt in Eastern Asia around 1400 BC.
I mean, I'm not familiar with this research, but it's actually possible that there's some dude who just happened to be one amongst many who somehow managed to get into every single genealogy. I mean, it's not super likely, but it's also not impossible. I mean, it could be. Wouldn't be Adam, but, I mean, sure. I don't actually care enough to go find whether or not this is actually a real thing. So, why not?
Although the date may seem relatively recent, researchers say the findings should not come as a surprise. Anyone trying to trace their family tree soon discovers the number of direct ancestors doubles every 20 years. How many of you have 2 parents? How many of you have 4 grandparents? How many have 8 great-grandparents? How many have 16 great-great-grandparents?
I don't have any of that.
You go keep going.
Well, how about this? Such people have existed. 16 people existed who were your great-great-grandparents.
Sure. Yes.
So, and presumably 32 for the great-great-great? I don't know.
I lost count of the greats.
Yeah.
Going back, you got a whole bunch of folks in a hurry, right? Well, this creates a problem. And the article says, it takes only a few centuries to clock up thousands of direct ancestors. Using a computer model, researchers from the Massachusetts MIT attempted to trace back the most recent common ancestor using estimated patterns of migration through history. And they found out we all came from a common ancestor 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. I could have told them that just by reading the Bible. Saved them a lot of time. Yep, we all have one common ancestor.
But no one is arguing that that's the only ancestor at the time. We have way too much genetic diversity in humanity for that to have been the only one based on the fixation rate for the whole genome. It doesn't work. You cannot make that leap, and I'm going to take a drink for how dumb it was.
Adam and Eve, nothing to worry about. Okay, what about cloning? And the news a few years ago, cloning was a big deal. Is it okay to clone people? Well, there's quite a bit of uncertainty of what may happen with cloning. We're not sure exactly what you might end up with. You know, half Hillary, half chimpanzee. But the DNA is an incredibly complex.
That was a joke. Yeah, that was a joke. Not even his audience laughed at that one.
Well, he doesn't have an audience. But if he did, they wouldn't.
Well, they cut back to an audience, but yeah, we've already said that we're not sure that that's actually the audience.
I didn't see it.
That might just be some other like B-roll footage that they have of an audience that they just cut to every once in a while.
I didn't see that audience. I just saw Beethoven's face. No relation.
Complex molecule. Unbelievably complex. What they're doing with cloning is they're transplanting the DNA from one cell to another cell. They're not creating DNA. They're not creating any information. They're not creating anything new. They're just moving it from one cell to another. So they're not, it's a neat genetic trick, very interesting and very complicated and very expensive, but they're not really creating anything. The DNA in your body is phenomenal. We cover all that on video number 4 about the complexity of DNA. Now Dolly, as far as we know, was the first creature cloned, first mammal cloned. There were 277 failures before they got Dolly to work. It cost them $50,000 for that one sheep. They said, what do you think about cloning? I said, man, the sheep can do this a whole lot quicker and cheaper. You know, just leave them alone in the pasture and you'll have your baby sheep, okay? It's not that complicated. And Dolly...
Yeah, it was research, Kent. People were trying to learn new things. It was not... the goal was not to produce sheep cheaply. Like, no. Just stop it. Take a drink.
It aged much faster than normal.
That may have been a joke he was trying to make.
Oh.
Either way.
Yeah, either way it's a drink. Yeah.
Well, and died early. Okay? Cloning is happening all over. I think it's a waste of time and money. Interesting research. I'm not against research. I'm not against science. But I think it's...
I'm not against science, but it's a waste of time and money. Got it, Kent. Got it.
A waste of time.
Doesn't know what science is.
And if the theory is we're going to clone humans so that we can have organs to harvest to save us from diseases, now you've got a really expensive fix to most diseases, which are a really simple cure. Vitamins, minerals, nutrition. We cover that on our videotape, The Bible and Health.
Yes, that's how I don't die from asthma attacks, is through vitamins and minerals, and also a preventative inhaler.
Yeah, well, this
does a better work than the vitamins do.
This right here ties into like Kent Hovind's like anti-vax stance and like the fact that he's selling cyanide as a cancer cure.
Well, he loves science, which, you know, modern medicine is based on science.
Mm-hmm.
Kent Hovind doesn't know what science is.
Land Before Time 75 says cloning is impossible. I mean, we have instances of cloning. I mean, it's not easy and it doesn't always work, but I mean, you can... Humans have cloned things. I don't know.
And Amy asked me, so Brother Hovind, would you please cover in your Q&A what vitamins you take? I take all kinds of vitamins, and we cover all of that in our Bible and Health video. I don't want to...
This is not medical advice, but as a rule, vitamin supplements are basically worthless unless you have a deficiency. They're just expensive, and they will make your pee turn a funny color.
I take vitamins.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to, but unless you have a deficiency.
I have been diagnosed with a deficiency in certain vitamins.
Well, there you go. Then you should take a supplement. That is a good reason to take vitamin supplements. But if you...
I take a multivitamin mostly for the calcium and vitamin D, actually.
You should just drink milk.
I don't drink milk ever.
Yeah, I don't either.
So, like, do I need all 36 vitamins? No, I
probably not.
I need almost all of them, but...
Do you have enough vitamin B17, the one that kills you?
Yes, actually, well, I have enough of the B vitamin.
But is B17 the one that kills you if you take it?
I don't think it was that one. I think it was B12.
Okay.
Really high, so...
Get into all that on Q&A, but get our Bible and Health video, get all kinds of nutrition tips and vitamin tips. I'm sure no expert on it, but I do intend to live in this body the rest of my life, and I'm going to make that my goal.
Oh, that was a joke, Jack.
This question I get asked in a debate one time. This atheist said, Hovind, if God made a perfect world, why did he make poisonous snakes? Good, fair question. There's no question there's a lot of poisonous snakes. And what about mosquitoes? Didn't they Didn't they bite
the
Adam and
answer
Eve?
that
Wouldn't that
sin
be
made
painful?
them?
Wasn't there pain in the Garden of Eden?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is the answer that sin made those things?
I think that is going to be the answer, yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Ah.
No,
Just
what about
complex.
poisonous spiders, etc.? Fair, honest, legitimate questions. Well, if you get this article from JARS, Jungle Aviation and Radio Service, you'll see where they talk about using electricity to treat snake bites. Dr. Roger Gadarian in western Ecuador treated 300 cases of snake bite. The pain is gone in 15 minutes if shock is applied within 30 minutes.
So you just have to use Adam. Whenever he was bitten by a snake, he had to use the holy electrical shock device of the Garden of Eden that God sent down on the flaming wings of the Archangel Michael or something. Like, what is your actual claim as to how this connects to creation? Being able to treat snake bites with electricity, which, by the way, is a claim I've come across before, and I checked the medical literature. Guess what? There's no evidence that it works. Yeah. Yeah. Even if it did work, though.
I got a package I gotta return.
So what? You get yourself a stun gun in order to prevent snake bite injuries?
Yeah, just start tasing myself, basically.
Alright, so here's what I'm going to do, though. We are getting to that point where it's actually about time for me to get a new drink and for us to take a quick intermission. So, I'm going to leave you to the tender mercies of the intermission video, which I'm going to turn down a little bit because apparently Godzilla is too loud. So, I'll see you back shortly. I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
Oh, Nani? Dare? Oh, Gojira desu ka?
this one. Hi. Whoops, forgot to turn off the intro. I had to turn my mic back on. But now we're good. Alright, so, I hope that was a little bit less ear-splitting. I've been told that perhaps I need to go in and edit that video sound files and take Godzilla down a notch. I have not gotten around to that. Please remind me, people. But here we go. Let's get some more Kent Hovind in where he's talking about snake bites.
They do is they use a stun gun, makes a little electric spark. If you get bit by a poisonous snake or a poisonous spider, they've discovered over the last 20 years, a lot of research has been done.
Stun yourself,
a spark
Kent.
That would be so great.
Right on the injury site will neutralize the poison. They say if you get bit by a snake, do it in an X pattern. Once this way, once this way. If it's been more than 30 minutes, tie an electrode to hook a wire to one of these and make a long wire and go around the other side. So the spark has to go through the limb. If it's been more than 30 minutes, you probably should also spark halfway from the injury to the heart because the poison's traveling.
Okay, so like I said, I've actually heard this claim before and I've actually looked into it. And so there has been research on this claim because it's been a claim that's been around for a while. And as it turns out, no. So passing significant amounts of current through snake venom has not been shown to change anything about the chemistry of the snake venom. And when it was later injected into test animals, it caused no decrease in the effects or the symptoms caused by the snake venom. So, yeah, no, this is just nonsense. Do not do this to your snake bite and think that this will make you okay. Seek medical attention from licensed...
Call 911.
Yes, call 911 or 999 or whatever it is in your country.
Right. Call your emergency number immediately.
Right. Get help from actual medical professionals. Don't just stun gun yourself. Please. This is where Kent Hovind gets dangerous, right? Like, most of the time he's just goofy and stupid and doesn't matter and we laugh, but this is a serious matter. There are a lot of snakes out there that will kill you if you do not get fast medical attention. Please.
And you won't die if you do get fast medical attention.
Right. You can be just fine if you do actually get to a hospital quickly enough. A stun gun, there is no evidence it will do anything other than hurt. And okay, you just cause yourself extra unnecessary pain when you're already probably in nearly excruciating pain from a snake bite. Stun guns are for self-defense. They will not cure your snake bite. Just don't. Okay, now that I've gone through... This is the stuff that actually makes me angry about Kent. He's like, oh, there was a giant ice canopy. It's like, whatever, Kent, that's stupid. But
it doesn't affect people.
Right, yeah, like no one's going to get hurt because they think there was a sky canopy. They take
Kent's medical advice, they can die.
Right, yeah.
A friend of mine said they had a lady come visit their place in Texas, and they had a two-year-old boy with them. The 2-year-old got bit by a brown recluse spider, which can kill a 2-year-old. Wouldn't kill a human, but it'd make you hurt for a long time. We got brown recluse right here in Pensacola. This little brown recluse spider bit this 2-year-old right on the thigh. Within a few minutes, it was swelled up as big as a softball and rock hard and red with a spot in the middle. The kid is screaming uncontrollably. This friend of mine talking to this lady, and she said, what do I do? He said, I'll tell you what I would do. I'd shock it with a stun gun. He said, I happen to have one, but I'm no doctor. I'm not going to give you medical advice, but if you want to borrow my stun gun, I would shock it twice in an X pattern. Well, she did on this 2-year-old. Within probably 30 seconds, he quit crying. In less than a minute, the swelling...
He quit crying because he'd just been stunned by a stun gun. He was probably unconscious. My goodness. Please do not stun your children as a form of medical treatment with a stun gun. I can't believe I just said that sentence.
This is all so bad. Kent.
Look, if after a spider bite you take a stun gun to your child instead of seeking medical treatment, I'm sorry, you should have that child removed from your home. That is absolutely child abuse. This is Kent Hovind advocating child abuse, and yeah, this is the stuff where I really, really get upset. There's a reason I don't do medical stuff on my show much. It's because it legitimately makes me angry. Now, I have not read any studies about spider venom and electricity. However, given that electricity didn't do much for the snake venom, I'm going to go ahead and say I would predict probably isn't going to do a whole lot for the spider venom, because they work in similar ways chemically, of necessity, right? You're trying to kill things with chemical injection from a bite, so there's a limited number of ways to get that done. So, yeah, please just don't. Also, I'm not sure that this actual anecdote ever happened, because not even Kent says he was an eyewitness to this. Some guy told him that this happened. Did it? I don't know.
And was going down. And in 3 minutes, he was back out playing. And in 15 minutes, you couldn't tell anything except the bite, little spot. I was out working in a yard by the drinking fountain, and I was down there going to pull the weeds out under that drinking fountain, and there's a wasp nest down there. I didn't know that. One of them came out, zap, stung me on the finger. So I went right upstairs to the Van de Graaff generator, 500,000 volt, make your hair stand up generator, flipped the switch, zap, zap, zap. Instantly, I mean, less than a half a second, the pain was gone from the wasp sting. I couldn't believe it. Just bam,
When I
gone.
came to, it still hurt, but...
Just that quick, just electric spark. If you're, people that work in jungles, they're saying, look, get a spark. I mean, if you got to go to find an engine with a spark plug, pull the wire off, spark it, chainsaw, lawnmower, do something, but spark it right away.
I will say, a chainsaw can, in fact, cure your venom problem. If you lop off whatever limb was bitten quickly enough, it will solve that problem. So there you go. Ken got that one right. I'll take a drink for it. Yep, that is true.
There seems to be really therapy in high voltage treatment.
I don't recommend it though. Don't actually do that. I just wanted to make that clear.
Why not?
No. There are less drastic measures that can be taken.
Because there's side effects with that treatment?
There are actually very significant side effects involving loss of limb.
Also, bleeding out.
Yes, that is also a potential problem there. Yep.
That would help you never have to worry about venom again.
Or much of anything, yeah.
Or taxes, or...
That's what Kent should have done to solve his tax problem. Should have just bled out. And now I'm demonetized ×2.
Of spider bites. There's been articles since 1991. A lot of research done on this. So why did God make poisonous snakes? I don't think they were poisonous in the original creation.
Oh, we're
Carl
actually
Ball,
back
for
to the
instance, in
actual
Glen Rose,
question.
Texas, raised cottonmouth water moccasins in his hyperbaric chamber with a stronger electromagnetic field. After 2 weeks of being in strong magnetic field, the snakes were not poisonous. The poison was not harmful.
I want to see Carl Baugh's paper on that. I want to see his method section. I want to see his testing. Like who or what did he inject with whatever came out of the fangs of the coppermouth? Or did nothing come out? Did he do a chemical analysis on the venom? Like what happened here? Because I'm going to be frank, Carl Baugh likes to lie about the animals that he's keeping.
Maybe someone in the chat can find that paper.
No, there isn't a paper. Carl Baugh is allergic to actually having his claims checked.
Son of a...
Yeah. So, yeah, you should have injected Kent. Yeah, Kent, you believe this isn't going to work, huh? All right, come here. Get this cottonmouth venom I'd like to inject you with. Trust me, they were raised under the conditions you say is what happened. Honestly, that would be an interesting challenge. Raise some actual venomous animals in a hyperbaric chamber with this high electromagnetic field or whatever, which that itself would be pretty expensive to generate. But, and then say, okay, Kent, because you know how Kent's always like, oh, if you think the tailbone is vestigial, I will pay to have yours removed. All right, Kent, if you think that venomous creatures weren't venomous before the fall because of the high pressure and the electromagnetic field, come here. I've got a cobra that I would like to have bite you. And if you die, well, I guess you were wrong.
Oops.
If not, I guess I'll be a young Earth creationist again. We'll see what happens. I should issue that as an actual challenge to Ken Hovind. Maybe we can get a GoFundMe set up for me to buy and keep a hyperbaric king cobra. I bet the people who run my apartment complex wouldn't like it if I was keeping a king cobra. There's nothing technically. There's nothing in the lease that says I can't have a king cobra.
Yeah, they don't need to know.
Okay. Oh man. Yeah, someone had said that we need to do some out of context Dapper Dino. This episode would be a gold mine for great out of context Dapper Dino. Oh, man.
So you can study more on that. Water moccasins raised in hyperbaric conditions will not be poisonous. So maybe the pre-flood world, these snakes had a different function. Because the protein they inject is actually nutritious. It's good for you.
What?
There's a lady over here at Calvary Baptist, I think you've spoken there, Eric, on Pine Forest Road. She was in a car accident, hit the windshield, broke her neck down deep inside her, between her shoulder blades. She goes in once a month, still today, for an injection of cobra venom. They take the venom from a cobra, stick it down on her neck, and give her a shot. Because
so I will say that I have seen some things to indicate that snake venom in low doses, one, you can build up a tolerance to it, and that two, it can have therapeutic uses in both anti-inflammation and pain reduction of certain kinds of snake venom. There is actually some backing for this, as far as I know. Again, it's been a very long time since I've looked into it. I could very well be wrong. But calling it nutritious is a bit of a stretch. Do not go out and eat snake venom, or drink, I guess, snake venom. Just don't. Yeah. Just, no, don't do that. Also, I want to know what Kent is imagining here, because it sounds like what he's imagining is like Adam and Eve are walking through the garden and they see like a cobra and they're like, oh great, a cobra, and they pick it up and they open its mouth and squeeze some juice out of the fangs and take like a drink. That's what that sounds like. Oh, it's very nutritious. It's like, okay, so were Adam and Eve milking cobras right into their mouths or something? Like and then why is the delivery mechanism giant sharp fangs if it's something you're supposed to be drinking or having it, or were Adam and Eve being voluntarily bitten by cobras to ease their pain that shouldn't have existed according to you? I don't, like, what is the point?
It doesn't make any sense.
My goodness. It's nutritious. Yeah, okay, Kent.
it's a nutritious protein. I don't know what they did to it. You could ask her if you'd like. But so maybe the snakes had a beneficial function. And so to say, hey, we have rattlesnakes, therefore God is mean, is to totally misunderstand the creation concept. Okay, what about the Ark of the Covenant? The Bible says in Jeremiah that they took the spoons, the cups, the basins, the candles. It names all kinds of small things that were taken captive out of Israel. Then in Ezra, when they're bringing the stuff back, it mentions all the small stuff they brought, the knives, the silverware. Why wouldn't it mention the Ark of the Covenant? Well, in the book of Chronicles, it says Uzziah had prepared great machines and slings to sling stones, huge catapults, engines, cunning engines built by smart guys, were up on the walls to fling stones. They built all kinds of catapults, and you're going to attack that city, you're going to have a rock hit you on the head, kind of stuff, all right? Well, Nebuchadnezzar wanted to besiege Jerusalem and take over the city, but he didn't want his soldiers getting hit by those rocks. So they calculated how far the rocks could go and built a wall outside the range of those catapults. We're going to build a wall all the way around the city, and we're going to starve them out. The siege had begun. And you can read all about that in all the book of, in the Old Testament about the siege around Jerusalem. Well, Jeremiah had said, the nation and kingdom that will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish. God told Jeremiah, go tell everybody in the city, surrender. I want these guys to win. You have been...
Achilles just said, pre-workout snake bites to get that protein. Yes. Do not do that. That is a bad idea.
Evil, you are wicked, and this is your punishment. Don't fight them.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said no pain, no gain. Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's exactly what that means. If you're not currently dying of snake bite, then you're not really working out. That's, yeah.
You're not going to get stronger if you don't let poisonous, venomous snakes bite you.
Oh, Vesta Freya has it figured out. Well, in the Garden of Eden, they didn't have booze, so cobra venom was a substitute. Oh, okay. So Adam and Eve were just getting high off the cobra juice. Got it. I'll buy that.
Go with them. Be their slaves. The king said, no, we're going to fight them. And they got slaughtered, okay? Wiped out. Well, Jeremiah knew they were going to lose because God had told him you're going to lose. So apparently Jeremiah took the Ark of the Covenant and the temple furniture from the temple outside the city. There's a tunnel called Jeremiah's Passageway that's caved in several spots. Richard Reeves, who worked with Ron Wyatt, has been working on this for years, digging out this tunnel. Some places are still open, but there's all kinds of tunnels under Jerusalem. I mean, there's another city under that city, okay? And who knows what hasn't been discovered. But apparently they took the Ark of the Covenant and all this temple furniture outside the city wall, but inside the siege wall. Well, if you look at where that arrow is pointing, that is Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified. The garden tomb is right there.
Yes, hashtag Cobra Juice. Make a trend, people. Get out there and start tweeting. Hashtag Cobra Juice. Ron Wyatt does sound familiar. So here's the thing about this. Like, okay, I don't care if there's an explanation as to where the Ark of the Covenant went. Like, sure. I don't see why it's an important thing. Like, I just don't care.
I was there a couple years ago. I'm going again in the spring back to Jerusalem. Oh, it's incredible. If you get a chance to go to the Holy Land, get over there. Called the Place of the Skull. Jeremiah's Grotto is now a place where they store bananas. A couple of Muslims own it. And they store fruit there to sell. But apparently in Jeremiah's Grotto, all this, you can see it there, Place of the Skull where they stoned Stephen, the garden tomb, the Gordon's...
Wait, the Place of the Skull, isn't that also where they crucified Jesus? Why would you not lead with that? Like, okay, sure, whatever. We'll just go with this where they stoned Stephen. Okay. Even though I don't think it is, but whatever. It says Place of Skull and Stoning of Stephen. It's a fairly large area, so maybe it was two different locations. I don't know.
The map wouldn't lie. Well, I guess it is lines on paper.
All right, we got some hashtag Cobra Juice in the chat, which I appreciate. But guys, what you really got to do is tweet it. And by the way, I want to say thank you to Rachel O'Daniels as well as Kenny for having become channel members while I was off air, so I didn't get to say anything while I was on air. So if you become a channel member, you get access to the cool emojis, and you also get access to the not the fan Discord server, the patron/member Discord server, which is a much smaller group of people. And I cannot keep track of everything that happens in the fan Discord server, but I can keep track of everything that happens in the patron/member server. So yeah, feel free to join the channel, and you will also be able to make us drink, because you'll have the ability to super chat with the Godzilla and Mothra emojis. And if we get, I think, 4 or 3 more members, we can add another emoji. So the more members we get, the more emojis we get. So feel free. Or don't. Also don't.
Calvary. Jesus was crucified right there. He was buried just a short distance away in the tomb.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Kent. I was wrong.
We get into more later on the crucifixion site. But Ron was digging in that area, Ron Wyatt, who died in '99, and you can get all of his discoveries from our ministry. There's only, I think, 2 people that sell his DVDs, him and us. $100 for his DVD series. It's phenomenal. If you want to watch, there's probably 5 DVDs, I think. Yeah. If you want to get all of Ron Wyatt's discoveries, you can see more about this. Just contact our ministry, $100 and get it. But Ron said he was digging outside there in Jeremiah's Grotto area, and they found the crucifixion site. He covers it all on the DVDs, and they found this little cave. He had a Muslim friend working with him, helping him dig dirt. You know, he just paid this guy Arab to dig. He was squeezing down in this little hole, digging around, and he came out screaming, "I quit, I quit," and left. So Ron went in there, and according to Ron, I talked to him for hours about it, and he said, "Brother Hovind, if you told me this story, I wouldn't believe you. But it happened to me, and I know that all liars have their part in the lake of fire." I knew Ron personally. I think he was a good man. If I was God, I would let him find this kind of stuff, because he wasn't looking for glory. He was looking to glorify God. So other people, other Christians, and even good friends of mine say, "Oh, Ron's wrong. He's, I get black."
Yeah, T Lane points out, I can buy far better things for $100. Yes, do not. My goodness, do not waste $100 for 5 DVDs from Ron and Wyatt. And yeah, actually, do buy $100 worth of Dapper Dino merch. Link in the description. Actually, let's take a look at some of my excellent Dapper Dino merch. You got a couple examples here.
Great idea. Yeah.
Let's show off your Dapper Dino merch.
Let's see. All the way over there is the Dapper Dino himself.
On a blanket. In like
really.
It's like a 16K image.
And on my chest is a shirt that says the Dapper Dino. It's just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with the Dapper Dino that you know.
Well, it is actually the case that you normally don't wear that to
That's
these.
the same one. No, I don't.
But
it was next in line today, and I changed my shirt after work. So
there you go. So I also have mugs. I've got hoodies, baby onesies. Basically, the only thing that you could use Teespring to make when I was making these that didn't actually make it were leggings, because I couldn't find a good way to make leggings work. Because leggings work more with like tileable patterns rather than just a single image. So sorry, you can't get Dapper Dino leggings. My bad. Oh, Hayden, you ordered it? Oh, let's see. You bought the body pillow for $15. A body pillow. Oh, well, it wasn't a Dapper Dino body pillow because I don't sell those. Although, maybe I should. It's life-size Dapper Dino body pillows.
Life size?
Yeah, why not?
How tall are you? Like 15 feet?
No, like 2 meters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was way off.
Yeah. Although I don't want to hear the stories about how people use those. You can keep those to yourself.
I want to hear the stories. Tell me those stories.
All right, tell Bent, and don't tell me Bent. Here we go.
I'll tell you if they're good or not.
Well,
For even mentioning Ron. And Eric, you and I, in our video series, Creation Science, Answering the Critics, we cover some of that in this DVD series, if you want to get all those DVDs about our answers to the critics. But Ron said he squeezed down in this little hole, and there's a little cave about 4 feet high, and he saw several things in there. As he looked around with his flashlight, he found, for instance, the table of showbread. The golden table that the Jews had built 3,000 years ago. Jeremiah hid that stuff in there, built a false wall in front of it. And there's this concrete box, like a concrete, but it's actually a rock, hollowed out. And when the lid was broken, according to Ron, he went over there and he looked at this lid, and he couldn't see in it because the ceiling's too short.
oh, by the way, I do actually sell a pillow. It's not a body pillow, but I do sell a pillow. I think Bob Knob has one, doesn't he?
He got, I don't know what he got. He got a couple things, I think.
I believe he uses
I think that was one of them.
I believe he uses it as a butt pillow, which is fine by me. Also, I just want to point out, so Ron Wyatt is basically just a pseudo-archaeologist. He's like Indiana Jones if Indiana Jones cared even less about archaeological ethics and procedure. And basically the problem with Ron Wyatt is that none of his claims have ever been substantiated. And the thing is, it's not like there's some kind of secret like conspiracy to disprove the Bible in archaeology and history. Plenty of things in the Bible have been openly acknowledged as being accurate based on archaeology by non-believing scholars and just the field of archaeology as a whole. Like, we have artifacts that mention King David. Now, to what degree the historical King David that we know of from artifacts and writings that aren't the Bible corresponds to the King David that we see portrayed in the Bible, whatever, it's up for debate. But there was a character at about the right time. So, like, if someone found... two Godzillas.
Sometimes it takes two, and then they come at the same time.
Yep. So, the thing is, like, no one is gonna, like, dismiss the discovery of temple artifacts from the, David's temple, or I guess Solomon's temple, sorry. I know, I'm the worst. Like, no one is gonna be like, oh no, Solomon's temple artifacts? Impossible. Like, no, if you found such things, the world would be interested and not at all reject those things. Because there really isn't a question that the temple existed. We know it existed. It was probably more or less as described in the Bible, with, the bowl full of water held up by the bulls, and the ark and the candlestick and all that stuff like that. I don't think anyone thinks that that's something that couldn't have existed. It sounds like a temple. Temples were real. Why would this be controversial? Like, I don't know. I just don't get this whole, like, Ron Wyatt found the thing, but no one will believe him because it proves the Bible. Like, no one cares that much. Like, the Bible makes plenty of non-extraordinary claims. Like, there were curtains with pomegranates on them. Oh, okay. Sure. Who cares? Anyway, more Kent.
But all over this lid was a black stuff like dried ketchup. It turned out to be dried blood, according to Ron. Right above the crack in the lid...
According to Ron, who didn't actually get in there, apparently, who didn't report this to anyone, but he saw it was black stuff, so he's just said it was dried blood. I guess Ron Wyatt is an expert at identifying dried blood.
He said it looked like black ketchup, but it was black blood.
Well, I mean, blood does tend to dry fairly dark, so, I mean, it could be blood, but, like, it could also have been spilled wine, or pitch, or anything, because did you get a chemical analysis done? No, because you didn't get anything done, Ron Wyatt, because if you had, everyone would know about it. Instead, you published a book where you don't actually produce the items, you don't go through your methods, you don't actually have provenance for anything that you claim to have found, you do none of the things required to have your find validated. In fact, I bet if we were to look, you never submitted permission with the actual government in Jerusalem to go digging anywhere. Which means if you did dig, you committed a crime there, Ron. But chances are you didn't actually dig, so it doesn't matter. So Akali said that they just tried to join my channel a few times, but for some reason when I clicked agree and continue on PayPal, it booted me back to the join page. Well, I am not sure what the problem with that is. It could be a problem on PayPal's part, although I think I signed into PayPal recently because I have my Patreon dump into my PayPal. So, I'm not sure. What I would say is try again a bit later, and I'll notice if you join the channel, because I can check to see who's a member and how long they've been a member for. That's why I was able to thank Rachel Daniels and Kenny. So I would say try again like tomorrow or something, and I'll give you a thank you on the next Kent with Bent. And if I don't, just remind me. And I'll probably notice if you show up in the chat and you've got the little green guy with a top hat, because that's the new members badge. It goes to a monocle, and then a top hat, and then a golden top hat, and then a few other things as you keep going. But it's interesting. I think this is the first stream where we've had people with the top hat on. I think it's now just long enough for people to have earned the top hat. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know. It could be a YouTube problem. The other thing is, like, maybe try restarting your computer at some point, but I'm not sure. Sorry about that.
Was a crack in the ceiling of this little short cave. That crack in the ceiling went all the way up to where Jesus was crucified, 20 feet straight up through solid rock. All this is according to Ron. I've never seen that. But there's other folks.
Ron Wyatt, one of the guys who found the Ark. Yeah. Hey, the Deviants is here. What's up, Mikey?
Hi, Mikey.
Mikey, I feel like we haven't talked in a long time, man. I'm gonna do some game streaming after this. I don't know. We should do a thing. We need to do more like, what kind of monster is this, Monster Hunter? Or what kind of animal is this monster in Monster Hunter? Yeah. Oh, it's on the phone? Yeah, that might be the issue. Try it on a PC.
To say, yep, that's correct. I mean, I don't know, but it preaches good, at least. Apparently, Jesus died on the cross, and his blood ran right down onto the mercy seat, which is where the blood was supposed to go when there was a sacrifice. Because Jeremiah had stuck it there 600 years earlier. And the blood ran right down into the mercy seat. Now, Uzzah put forth his hand and touched the ark, and God killed him. So when Ron told the Jewish authorities, hey, here's your ark, they said, oh, we're not going to touch that. It's still there, waiting for the new temple to be built.
I don't believe you.
Is that where it is? They know. Kent Hovind knows.
Okay, so here's one of the reasons that I don't believe him, right? It is true that according to the Bible that when non-Levites touched the ark, they were killed. However, you ever heard the last name Cohen?
Yes.
Cohen is a last name that, at least according to Jewish tradition, actually identifies its bearers, assuming that they have the last name legitimately, as in fact particular subgroup of the tribe of Levi. So just get a bunch of Cohens together. They should be fine. Or at the very least, they could excavate it and take pictures. So that's that problem solved. So yeah, I highly doubt that they were just like, oh, we don't want to touch the Ark because you know, we might get struck down. Like, no, that was not what anyone was doing. Also, there are other claims to have found the Ark that are just as credible. Like there's a church in Ethiopia that claims to just have the Ark of the Covenant in one of its shrines. Can't go see it though. But here's one interesting thing. What they have in there is probably radioactive, whatever it is, because the priests who are put in charge of guarding that shrine tend to die like 10 years afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, whatever it is, you probably don't want to go hang out near it.
And they're going to get it out and put it in the temple. So you can go to WyattMuseum.com and talk to Richard. He'll just say, Richard will say, I don't know, this is what Ron said. And that's best I can do too. Okay, is God's name in Jerusalem? Abrahamic Baptist Church over here in Milton.
Hold up, is God's name in Jerusalem? Is that what you heard?
I don't know what he was asking.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
What is that? Well, let's watch and find out, because maybe that makes sense as a question. I don't know what this church would have to do with it, but sure.
In Florida, Pastor Carl Gallup's a good friend of mine. I've spoken there a couple times. He's got a great sermon on this topic, and you ought to get a hold of him to get that. Is God's name in Jerusalem? Well, the Hebrew alphabet has all these different letters in it. One of them looks kind of like a W. It's called the Shin. That is the Hebrew word. That one letter is the symbol for God. And a lot of Hebrews put this on their doorpost or beside their house. They put the Shin, you know, that's God's house, okay? God said his name will be upon the children of Israel. He will put my name there forever, 1 Kings chapter 9. In Jerusalem will I put my name. In Jerusalem I will put my name forever, 2 Kings 21. 2 Chronicles chapter 33. Is God's name actually in Jerusalem? Apparently so, because there are 3 valleys that form a Shin. His name is permanently stamped there on this city. So that preaches good. I don't know.
I've never been more convinced of anything in my life.
Yeah, look, you know what?
That's why I'm drinking.
Sure, I'll drink too.
And that's why I'm swallowing the rest of these pills.
You know what this reminds me of, though? So have you ever heard the claims about, someone found the word Allah on like a fish or a sheep or something?
Sure.
Alright, I'm gonna see if I can get a picture of it. Alright, so yeah, here we go. These are some examples. So, well, that looks Photoshopped, so I'm not gonna go with that one. Yeah. So, let's open this image in a new tab. So this is a fish purporting to say Allah. Okay, and I actually kind of see it, because if we take a look at the actual word in Arabic, let's see. Let's find can we find a simplified version? Yeah, this'll work. Alright, sorry, Ben, you're gonna have to look at the actual
I'm not
chat.
worried about it.
So, that's Allah, but the thing is, it's a very geometrically simple shape, right? Like, it's a bunch of swoops and a line. Swoops and a line are not exactly the kind of thing that's never gonna happen. And we also have letters in butterfly wings. So let's see. Let's open this one. So are these butterfly wings proof that God is abbreviating the word definitely in like internet speech in the form of butterfly wings? Maybe. I don't think so. Like, it's the same kind of claim. Like, oh, there's some valleys. They form a simple geometric shape that kind of looks like the letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It also kind of looks like a W. Like, whatever. Like, it's just unimpressive. So, yeah, there you go. Like, I just do not see why this would be convincing to anyone. Yes, most F, that is God spelling out words on butterfly wings. Yeah, that's totally what's happening. Alright, here we go.
Okay, what about Bigfoot? I get asked the question all the time. Hey, what about Bigfoot?
I love how
By the way, what about Bigfoot?
there's no themes here. It's just randomness. Let's go to Bigfoot. Why? Okay, sure. Bigfoot. Let's do it, Kent. Let's talk about Bigfoot.
Oh, man.
Oh. Was Bigfoot on the Ark? That's the real question.
What? Yes.
Bigfoot lives. Deal with it. Chester Moore Jr. is a good friend of mine from the Houston area. I spoke at their cryptozoology conference.
Oh, hey, that's the subject of the Patterson-Gimlin film. That's actually a still from the Patterson-Gimlin film, which I don't accept that Bigfoot is a thing that exists. However, I also don't know what that is a film of. It could be a dude in a costume, but it would be a pretty damn good costume. So, yeah, I don't have a good explanation for the Patterson-Gimlin film. I'm going to tell you right now.
What about Bigfoot? How about the making of Bigfoot? This is the guy in this book saying, I dressed up as Bigfoot. I confess, it was me. And he still got the Bigfoot suit.
No, he doesn't, because if he had the Bigfoot suit, we would be able to actually check it against the film. And no one has been able to do that. That would make him a bunch of money. Nope, no, he doesn't. I don't believe him just if... Okay, I don't know that Kent is accurately claiming that he claims to have the suit. But if he does, he would have made that public by now.
They've interviewed 10 people who swear they've seen a Bigfoot. Okay, Todd Jurassic's a good friend of mine. He's seen one several times. This film, the Patterson film here, is the one made by the guy who confessed it was him in the suit. Right?
No, it's not. Okay, I'm taking a drink. The Patterson-Gimlin film was made by, as the name might actually clue you into, a guy named Patterson and a guy named Gimlin. And they filmed that. This other guy could have been involved, but he's not publicly acknowledged as having been involved by the people who made the film, who I believe are both dead now, who we know made the film. And it would have been trivial to just include his name, I guess. But whatever. So he claims to have been involved, but we have no confirmation of that. And the thing is, I don't like having to support the authenticity of some very potentially faked footage. But you got to be accurate about it. We have no evidence that this guy was directly involved with the Patterson-Gimlin film except for his own claims. And that's not much. He could have been. A guy in a suit is one of the explanations for what that thing is on screen. And in fact, it's one of the explanations that makes the most sense because it requires very few additional assumptions. So it meets the parsimony test. But like I said, it's a very, very convincing suit if it's a suit. It would have been quite the project. So, yeah.
Tesla Ranger, you made me laugh.
Achilles says that I just joined through PC. Did it work? I certainly hope so. I'm not seeing you as a channel member, but there may be a delay. Let me try refreshing and seeing if anything like that helps. And send a couple more messages to see if you have the green name. So, yeah, I'm not seeing it as having worked. But you know what? I will say, if you did join, thank you very much. And also, if you joined at Amniote or higher, I will be putting you in the credits for next month, unfortunately, because the credits for this month are already set.
Matter of fact, there's the Bigfoot suit, not the original, but a copy of it is coming to Dinosaur Adventureland.
No.
The film here is the one made by the guy who confessed it was him in the suit.
I'm going to pause on that.
Right? Matter of fact, there's the Bigfoot suit, not the original, but a copy of it is coming to Dinosaur Adventureland, going to be in our museum here soon. There's a guy in Colorado who's donating it to our museum. What about Bigfoot? I don't know.
Wait,
Whatever the...
Hold on.
Dressed up in the woods like that. How many rednecks are there within 30 miles of here that shoot one?
I didn't see the photo. Whatever. I'm going to talk about the photo he showed. Sorry, I guess I can't find it. Whatever. That photo was a photo purporting to be of the Florida skunk ape, which is a different cryptid, which is in a similar vein of ape men cryptids, right? But that one is a very different thing. If Here's a little, it's not really a secret, but a little guilty pleasure of mine is reading about cryptozoology stuff. Almost all of it is complete nonsense, but it's fun. Oh, you got the email for the membership? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say YouTube is screwing up by not showing you the, with the correct color on my side. Check to see if you have the custom emojis, and if you don't, and it takes after my next live stream or something that you're on, let me know and we can try to contact YouTube and see like, hey, what the heck? You're taking money out of this person's account, but not giving them the benefits. So yeah. So oh yeah, Erica Gutsick Gibbon, who if one of my mods wants to put a link to her channel, that'd be great. She has a really fun Halloween episode that she did about cryptids, specifically primate cryptids, and unfortunately it's one of her least watched videos, but it's one of my favorite of her videos. I love that video. I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times. It's great. Go watch it after this.
The theories. Some people say they're all hoaxes or misidentified. Well, hoaxes, certainly that happens, but you got to be understanding, especially in the South here, who in their right mind is going to run around dressed up in the woods like that? How many rednecks are there within 30 miles of here that shoot one of them things on sight?
I mean, in Florida, not that many, honestly. And most of the Sasquatch sightings or Bigfoot sightings are in the Pacific Northwest, where there aren't actually that many rednecks that'll just shoot anything furry that moves. It's actually not that bad.
Look at that thing moving. Bam! What is it? I don't know, George. Let's go check it out. You know, that's just shoot first, ask questions later. You know?
Yeah, that's actually super illegal in like all of the United States. You're not just allowed to just shoot things in most places. And if you're found out to be doing it, you can get in a lot of trouble. There's actually a lot of regulation around hunting in the U.S. A lot.
Oh, that's just the way it is, all right? The second theory says they're unidentified species of ape. That could be true. This is Discovery Channel last night had a section on, what is this Bigfoot stuff? Some people think they're some of the hippies from the 60s that haven't come in yet. They're hairy and they stink, okay? I don't know.
Oh, that was a joke.
Some people think they're aliens from another world. I don't know about that one. Some people think they're simply genetic experiments gone bad. The bottom line is, I don't know, but those are the current theories that I'm aware of. So,
wait, was genetic experiments gone bad a joke? Because I've never heard that.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't tell anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, the Deviants and Beethoven both linked the Gutsick Given video on spooky cryptids. It is excellent. After this, like, bring it up in a new tab and watch it after this, because it is, like, it really is one of her my favorite videos of hers, and it is tragically underwatched. Oh, there's Mothra. So there you go. Actually, speaking of Erica, next week should be Eric with Erica, because it is the second Tuesday of the month. So Beethoven is going to take a break, and we're going to do an earlier in the day Eric with Erica, assuming Erica can in fact make it. And if she can't, I will figure out something else to do. Maybe a Standing with Stern, where we do take a look at some Standing for Truth claims with Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal. That might be fun. So, because by the way, in case you didn't know, oh, there's Godzilla. His name is not Dr. Cardinal, it's Dr. Stern Cardinal. Yeah, there's 2 words in that last name.
Get it right, people.
Yeah, well, what bugs me is that Standing for Truth never gets it right. Because he's had him on quite a few times, and he's been corrected on this numerous times, and he still doesn't get it right.
I can understand not knowing it.
Oh, I didn't know it at first.
If you're corrected on it, then
yeah. At first I thought Stern was like his middle name, and he just wanted to go by his full name. But nope.
I thought the same thing. I thought it was kind of weird, and then you told me a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, you get it wrong the first time. It's not a big deal. It's like you didn't know. There's no way to guess it from just looking at his name. Fine,
right.
But after you're corrected, get it right. Like, just one of the most basic aspects of internet etiquette is call people what they tell you to call them. Unless it's
it shouldn't be difficult.
Unless it's like some kind of horrible thing, like, if your name includes like baby eating and all sorts of horrible things, then okay, fine, I can see why you might not want to call them that. But assuming that's not the case, you call people what they want you to call them.
I'd like to hear about it. Genesis chapter 6 says, there were giants in the earth in those days. Well, who were these giants? It came to pass when men began to multiply in the face of the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God, which always refers to angels in the Old Testament, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they...
Wait, is Ken Hovind going Bigfoot is Nephilim?
Probably.
Oh, I hope he does, because that just sounds like fun. Wait, you believe you paid $6 for hatchling tier? Actually, you may have joined the wrong channel. Because I don't have a hatchling tier. And none of my tiers are at $6. So I think Achilles, you might have joined the Dapper Dino who does coding tutorials video.
One we don't speak about.
Oh, I have no problem with that, dude. Look, he had this name before I did. I didn't know about him until after I made the channel. It's my bad on that one. So Achilles, you might want to cancel that or keep that membership. I don't know, but I do not have a hatchling tier, so that's probably the problem.
Look, the tutorial, I watched one, and it's pretty thorough.
Oh, I'm sure he does great work.
But since I knew nothing about it, I fell asleep. It's like a 30-minute. Oh my gosh, it's thorough though.
Well, hey, I mean, if you like gaming
not a
tutorials,
bad channel.
Yeah, no, I have. Like I said,
channel.
It's not this channel, but yeah, Achilles, that's. Sorry, I think you did just lose that $6. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I appreciate it though. So if you want to wait a month or something, that's fine by me. Yeah, don't worry.
Chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, his days shall be 120 years. Now, I don't know what that means. If anybody knows, let me know. People have argued, see, nobody's going to live past 120. Well, that's not true. There's a lot of folks who have lived past 120.
Are there?
Some people say it's going to be 120 years till the flood. I don't know. Maybe it means there's going to be 120 Jubilee years of human history. Every 50 years was a year of Jubilee. 120 times 50 is 6,000. I don't know. If you know...
Okay, look, I guess I don't really care, like, what your interpretation of this verse is, but, like, some of those seem a little bit far-fetched.
Well, let me know, but I don't. But anyway,
you don't
back
think
to the
the
giants.
world's
It says,
been coming to an end all year? I don't know.
Well, okay, that's a fair point. My goodness, this year has felt a bit like... This has felt like the lamest apocalypse movie ever. Like, man, I was hoping the end of the world would be much more spectacular. Like, where are all the zombies or asteroids or...
Isn't it supposed to last 3.5 years or something?
My goodness. Oh well.
See what happens.
Hey, you know what, Achilles? You're not the first person to do something with the wrong Dapper Dino channel. Wasn't your brother subscribed to the wrong Dapper Dino for quite a while?
I don't know.
I think he was. Has he been on this channel? He's been on Top Hats Off. I don't think he's been on this channel. Which, in case you guys don't know, Top Hats Off is my off-topic channel. It's where, like, gaming streams, art streams, literature reading, all that gets dumped on there.
there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God come into the daughters of men, they bear children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old.
I just want to say, he said came on. The text says came unto. He said came into, which I actually think is the better translation there. Just because, you know, that's what it's talking about.
Men of renown. Who were these giants? And is this giants referring to the mighty men? Or does the phrase after that separate this?
The Deviants says, are Super Chats enabled? Not on Top Hats Off, but they are here. Feel free to send your $500 Super Chats. Or not. Don't send me a $500 Super Chat, my goodness. I mean, if you're Elon Musk and you become...
I won't stop you from sending a $500 Super Chat.
If you're Elon Musk and you want to send me a $500 Super Chat, then fine. But no one else should. Well, like Elon Musk or like Jeff Bezos or I don't know, someone like that. But none of my normal viewers should be sending me that much money. My goodness.
This into two totally unrelated subjects. I can't figure it out. Somebody knows. Please let me know. But the Bible says God saw the wickedness of man and he said, I'm going to wipe them out, and he sent the flood. But who were these giants and who were these mighty men? It's the Hebrew word Nephilim. Who were the Nephilim? Well, some people think that
Bigfoot,
Jude, verse 6, it's only got one chapter. They think Jude, verse 6, ties in. angels which kept not their first estate. I think that ties in also, but I have no idea why I believe that, other than that's what I've been taught all my life.
All right, Mikey, you're on the list of people who I want a $500 super chat from. There you go.
But I think it's always wise to question and say, well, is this really, does this tie in? Other people think the Peter passage ties in. 1 Peter says, the spirits in prison waited in the days of Noah. Are these spirits in prison and the angels that kept not their first estate and the giants, is this referring to the same thing? I'm going to give that a...
Oh, and speaking of super chats, for $5 from the Deviants, you need to have a rap battle with the Lesser Tapper. Yeah, if only I could rap. That would make it better.
You could rap.
You think I could?
I think you could do it.
You think I can rhyme in real time?
I think if someone wrote a rap and you memorized it, you could rap.
Oh, okay, so I would have to have the rap done before. But I feel like rap battles are supposed to be spontaneous, aren't they?
No, you can't do that. There's no way you can.
No, but isn't that how they normally go? Like, I'm not up on the whole...
Can be scripted.
Can they, though? That sounds lame. It's like doing a pre-scripted football game. What's the point?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Definite probably, but I don't know how you could prove such a thing. Here are the theories about these Nephilim. Some people think they're sons of God that are fallen angels that followed Satan, and they married the daughters of men. The problems with that theory is angels don't marry in heaven. That doesn't mean they can't marry on earth. And it assumes that Revelation 12 means a third of the angels followed Satan. You guys went through Bible college. Why do we always teach a third of the angels followed Satan? The passage in Revelation says Satan drew a third of the stars with his tail. That's it. That's the only verse they're using to say a third of the angels followed Satan. There's no question Satan has helpers and demons and all that stuff, but I don't think the Bible tells us. So either we don't need to know.
So does Kent Hovind think that literally a third of the stars got swept up by the tail of Satan? So Satan was some gigantic cosmic dragon who could sweep stars away with his tail? Like, what?
He's so big. Satan is so big that he's beyond the size of the observable universe.
And he can just take a third of the stars, which are...
And he can take a third of all the stars.
Does that mean he takes a third of the galaxies as a whole? Or, like, is he picking out certain stars from the galaxies? Like, what does that even mean?
He might take a third of the galaxies and leave all the other stars. I mean, who knows how he's doing it.
But if it's with a sweep of his tail, shouldn't that mean that there's, like, a big section of empty sky?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, sure, whatever.
I can't even follow this anymore.
Or it just simply doesn't matter. But don't worry about it. There's not enough information. The second theory says it's the sons of God referring to the line of Seth, and they're marrying the Cain's descendants, intermarrying of the godly and ungodly line. I think that's a ridiculous theory because saved and unsaved people get married all the time, and it doesn't affect their children as far as they don't become giants because one's saved and one's lost, okay? Secondly, there's no evidence Seth's children were godly. I mean, they all drowned in the flood too, except for one of them, Noah. Noah had brothers and sisters that drowned in the flood. It says Lamech lived after he begat Noah so many years and begat sons and daughters. Noah's own cousins didn't come on the ark. Brothers and sisters didn't. Chuck Mister's got a good audio tape series about the Nephilim. If you want to read, listen, study more on that.
Kent, say that the Bigfoot is the Nephilim. I've been waiting this entire time and you haven't gotten there. Just do it! I almost forgot we were talking about Bigfoot. My goodness, please say the dumbest thing. Just do it. Also, apparently Nephilim are aliens. This anticipation. Like, just say the dumb thing, please.
They're from Earth. They're returning. They left as aliens.
Wait, wouldn't they have left as Terrans and then came back as aliens?
Aliens to the other worlds, but now they're back here.
Yes, as T.D. Lane says, referencing Monty Python. Get on with it!
Thanks. Not only were they, genetic experiments, but they're coming back.
Welcome, new member.
Achilles has joined the Tetrapod tier. Thank you very much, Achilles. Send me an email or a message on Discord or something like that, and I will get you the link to the patron/member Discord, because unfortunately, unlike Patreon, YouTube does not link those things together. So, thank you very much. Let's get some, since it's Kent with Bet, let's get some Kents in the chat for my channel members for Achilles. Thank you very much. I was going to say sir or madam, and I don't even know. So give me a preferred honorific, and I will call you that.
Use this again to infiltrate humanity. You can get Chuck Missler stuff on that. But whatever these Nephilim were, it would appear to me that Noah's kids would have seen them. Genesis 6, the first 5 verses, is taking place just before the flood. And so God said to Noah, build the ark and we're going to have a flood. So this Nephilim is referred to before the flood. So let's assume that they were giant people with supernatural powers of some kind. Noah's kids would have seen them. After the flood's over, they're going to tell stories.
I'm sorry, also Kenny and Rachel Daniels. Send me emails or Discord messages or tweet at me or something like that so that I can get you links to the member/patron Discord channel. Because I believe all 3 of you are a tetrapod tier, and at that tier, that is the main benefit outside of YouTube for that. You will get early access to videos, because I'll link them there. And you'll also have you'll have access to chatting with me, as well as all those people on the Discord server. Although, I will warn you, on Sundays and Sundays and Mondays, I can't remember the days of the week, I'm usually more or less unreachable, because I try to take those days off. So, just a heads up.
To their kids sitting around the campfire. Oh, you should have seen the guy that lived down the street from us. Man, oh man, he had 3 eyes and could fly, or who knows, you know?
Oh, Kane Wilson is here. Kane Wilson, by the way, came on and was an extremely pleasant Old Earth creationist on my last live stream. And unfortunately, he had a bad connection, and we need to coordinate something for an actual discussion, because I thought it was a very pleasant exchange, and I'm glad that you're here. And I have a debate about Extant Gigantopithecus. Dude, I actually know someone who would be better for that debate than me, and that's Gutsick Gibbon. And I would be very willing, though, to moderate that debate, and I think that would be excellent. That could be a really fun debate to have. We could have it on like Modern Day Debate, or we could have it here. And either way, have an after show here. You're more than welcome to come on to my after shows. My after show rule is, if you were on either side, you're welcome to come on. And my rule is also not to be mean to the other side if they're on in the after show. So yeah, please let me know. We should definitely set up something about Gigantopithecus. That would be a lot of fun. Anyway, back to Kent.
But these stories are going to be preserved through the flood by Noah's children, and they're going to become the legends of Zeus and Thor and all the Babylonian and Greek and all the mythological gods. Probably are actually stretched stories, and maybe even not stretched stories, of true things that happen. So probably this is a result of the Nephilim. But there's an awful lot of stuff about these giants in the earth in those days, and maybe that's what it is. You study it for yourself.
I want him
next
to
question.
say it.
What about you?
No, he didn't. We just went to the next question. We never actually said explicitly that Bigfoot is a Nephilim. Or a Nephil, because Nephilim is plural. That's so disappointing. But it's also where we're going to start wrapping up, because I like to keep these things at or below 2 hours. And, we're already right around there. So I want to say, I'm not sure what's happening on Saturday. I don't know what's happening Saturday. But Thursday is probably going to be the next episode of Creationism is a Mega Catastrophe. That's what it's called. So tune in for that. That'll be at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Let's see. Then next Tuesday should be Eric with Erica. I'm going to double check with Erica to make sure she's okay for that. That'll be at around noon Pacific Daylight Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I don't know what time that is for people in the UK, but I think it's sometime around like 7 or 8 p.m. Which means, hey, if you're in the UK, like, seek truth, speak truth, then you'll actually be able to come on. So I think that's about it. And Bent, now I know you want people to visit coppermagma.com, and I'm actually going to put you on screen here, but don't you now have new music?
Sort of. We had 3 demos recorded, and they sounded pretty good for quality-wise, but there's just little parts we wanted to redo.
Okay, so it's not quite
we're
up.
in the process of... So that was like 2 weeks ago. And then on Thursday and then on Sunday, we re-recorded 3 of the 4.
Okay.
And then our other guitarist is on his way out, moving back to Australia. to hang out with Ian Chen, and anyway, when we can get him in before he moves.
Tell him to stay out of Tasmania in case he runs into Jason Ezard, faithful, honest, and true.
We've already had that discussion.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, when he gets his parts recorded, then we're gonna just mix it and master it and see. But
Awesome.
I've heard some of the stuff, some of the demo stuff, and I think the quality is pretty good.
Awesome.
It's not as good as what we did last year. In some ways, it's better, but it's not as polished. But it's also free for us to do it ourselves. So,
all right,
a lot of money. So anyway, that'll be coming out. We're doing a lot of songs too, so that hopefully will be coming out by the end of the year. 9-song LP.
9. Wow. All right. Well, hey, and check it out at Copper Magma. That's one word. There's no like dash or underscore or anything, is there?
No.
Yep.
Coppermagma.com.
Coppermagma.com. Check that out. That's where you can find. So, in case you don't know, Bent is the one who did the audio for my intro and outro. So that is his music.
And that is one of the 9 songs we're doing.
Nice. So you can get the the very well recorded, because you didn't pay a professional to record it, but
Correct.
But very high quality recording version of that song, which is called Bose. So that'll be out before the end of the year on coppermagma.com. Also, you can find Copper Magma on Spotify now.
Yes. And our music is free. It'll take a while to get it on Spotify, but you can just go to the website and download it.
There you go.
For free. What's the point of paying money when you could just...
I mean, some people like to have it on their Spotify playlist anyway.
And it will go up there when it's done.
So there you go. So you can check out Copper Magma on their website, and so Spotify is coming soon.
So right now there is some stuff we have on Spotify, including the demo for Bose, actually. So if you want to hear that, you can go to Spotify and hear it. We've already re-recorded the whole song, so...
Okay, well, there you go.
It's not the final version, but...
Well, that's awesome. I don't think I have anything else. I'm going to be working this week on script writing for some stuff that I want to do on thermodynamics, because that still comes up in creationism, as well as do some more work on the speculative evolution project. I think we might actually be at the point now where the next video could be the last one in Phase 2, and we could be ready to get a Phase 3 intro video out. So that'll be fun. I think that's basically it. If you guys want to, sometime around like maybe 30 past or maybe 15, I don't know, I'll go on to Top Hats Off and do some streaming. Ben, do you want to start like a Factorio map or something?
I've got one running with mods, but we could start a new one.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that if I jump into yours, it'll almost all be done. Also, Atheist Jr. comments, Kent with Ben forever. And thank you very much, Atheist Jr. Atheist Jr. is one of my most loyal viewers, and so I really appreciate all the views, all the likes, the super chats. And yeah, so check out Top Hats Off. It is linked. Any of my mods who want to can link the channel. I'll be doing some gaming stuff, probably an hour or two worth, I don't know. But I want to give a very special thank you to my super chatters and my new member. So that includes Vandalia1998, Seek Truth, Speak Truth, The Deviants, Achilles, and Atheist Jr. Thank you so much. And we are out of here. Thanks for watching, but before you go, I'd like to take a minute to say thank you to my patrons and channel members on YouTube. They help me make this channel possible, and without them, I couldn't keep going. Specifically, I want to thank my $20 and above patrons, Bent Hovind, Ian Chen, Sphincter of Doom, Chris Love, Henry Hutanen, and Bob Knob. If you'd like to join the channel or become a patron, links are in the description, and if that's not right for you, but you want some other way to help out, there's also an Amazon wishlist, as well as a Teespring store where you can get Dapper Dino merchandise. If none of that works for you, just liking and sharing this